Hey everyone. Okay, so welcome to video 2 of today's Makeup Bonanza. Three different videos. The last one was a voice lesson. This is going to be the actual video, and the next one is going to be on a meeting that I actually just got back from. So moving on with this actual video, last week's video was actually, the question was regarding whether or not you'll mourn the person you left behind when you go full time. And that basically just means, like, will you be missing any portion of you that was your birth gender? And I'm going to have to say no, because really the only things I'm missing are physical, temporal, or anything like that. Like, as a guy, all I'm losing are restrictions. The whole clothing thing, yeah, I feel like I stepped up there and everything. Only thing that I really think I'm missing is my father, which as a direct cause of my decision not going full time. So that's all I can really say is no, I'm not going to mourn anything, because I've always been this person and I always will be this person. I'll always be Sam. Like, no matter what I'm wearing or no matter how I'm acting. A couple of the perks, though, the things that I'm missing would be, I no longer have to mess around with mannerisms that I never really got, like that whole manly man thing. I don't really need that anymore. So, yeah. So, moving on and everything. I have been getting these messages from people, several people. They're actually very flattering, because apparently I'm helping them make their decisions to um, transition, and I'm being one of the pushes behind it. And while that's great and everything, I'm also getting these messages that are asking where they start. So that's what this video is going to be on. It's where do you start? Um, so it's kind of for those who are just beginning in their transition and everything. So I came up with a list and everything. So just kind of read it off. First, Google. Yeah, Google. Research. It's just like doing an essay in school. Don't kid yourself. A transition requires work. It requires research. It requires knowledge. It requires information gathering. And one of the biggest places is Google. Start at Google. Start reading stories. Like, start Googling forums for transsexuals and transgenders, cross-dressers, everything like that. Just start Googling, like, transsexual. Just Google that. Or transsexual stories. Or you could even be specific. Hormone dosages. Or hormones in general. Or something like that. Just Google it. Start getting information. Along with that is start documenting everything. You have to document everything. And by the end of your transition, you should end up with a book of information, going everywhere, from like hormones and everything to mannerisms, from like surgeries to hair to everything. Like, you're trying to learn a completely new gender that you have not lived with for however long. So information is going to be very, very important. Now, second, where I would say you absolutely need to start is by thinking about it. Like, before you start researching in depth and everything, like, I took a good 3 months to just really think about it. Do I want this? How far do I want to go with it? Where is that going to land me? What can I do with the result? And everything. Like, I took 3 months to actually think through whether or not I wanted hormones, and how far I wanted to go. So I would definitely think about that, and then spend the 3 months of in-depth research, just like in one. Four, this one is actually undermined a lot, but I was reminded of the importance because I went through a couple things with it. Community. Start getting out there. Start talking to people. Start talking to other transsexuals. Start talking to those who are experienced in what you are going through. And I cannot stress that. It's very important. Like before I had community, I was one of three transsexuals that I knew. I was the one that was furthest along, and I felt lonely. I honestly did. I felt very lonely. I felt like no one really understood what I was going through because they didn't, because no one had ever gone through a transition before. And I just needed someone who would understand, sympathize, empathize with me. Um, Someone who could tell same stories that I could. Like, I would talk about my bathroom conundrum, and they would be like, hey, I had that problem too. I walked into a man's bathroom, and everything like that. Community is incredibly important. Cannot stress it enough. Fifth, do this after about maybe 6 months. 3 months of thinking, 3 months of research. Heavy research. And the research better keep going, and the thinking better keep going. This is all just building upon itself. 6 is to locate a therapist. Now, along with this, it's also very optional, but I'm also going to add number 7 to it, is come out. Come out to your parents or anything like that. Now, coming out can happen anywhere along the list. It can happen as 3, it can happen as 4, it can happen as 12. But coming out at about the point where you start spending the money and everything can be very beneficial. If you don't want to, that's fine. There are a lot of circumstances where coming out just won't work. So definitely start finding a therapist. For that, use Google. Do the same exact thing you did to research. Start contacting one. And then I encourage you, like, no matter how far away they are, like, if you find 10 within your city, that's great, that's fine. But start going, find 20 therapists, call them all, and then choose them like your parents chose a babysitter. Narrow them down to one person. I ended up between 3, all of them in Fort Collins. And the one therapist that I have was the best selection, no doubt about it. I love her to death. So that's about the point where I suggest that. Now, 8 is shortly afterward or shortly beforehand, hopefully, sometime within this area, especially sometime within the research period. Get your first real life experience. Go out there, cross-dressed, go out there, see what it's like to live as the other gender, because that is a deal breaker. If you don't feel comfortable walking around in public for a genuine reason, like not because, oh, I think I look like a cross-dresser or something like that. Those are general things. No, you don't need that. If you come up with a reason like, I just don't feel right, and I feel 80,000 times more comfortable in my own shoes, then that's fine. But that real life experience, for me, it was the best experience of my life. Like, that's the day that I came out because I knew I wanted to do this. Like, that was after my 3 months of thinking about it, just when I was going into the research period. So I definitely suggest that. That's pretty much it. 8 different things, very important things. So that's how you get started. I'm going to suggest a website called TS Roadmap, transroadmap.com, tsroadmap.com. That is a gigantic source of information. It's also going to tell you the exact same thing I just told you. All 8 of those steps can be found on TransRoadmap. I find it incredibly useful. So I definitely suggest using it. That's pretty much it. That's the end. So question for next week, and question I want to see down here. Talk about it. Talk about everything down here. I want to see those comments. This one is, do you think your family history has anything to do with your being trans? Do you think that there's any influence or anything like that? A lot of trans people also have other problems. It's an observation that's been seen, and a lot of them are family or genetically passed down. So I want to know, what is your opinion? Do you think that your decision has any ride upon your family history or your family in and of itself? Okay? All right. Bye, guys.